Hello and welcome to today's live stream. As always, I'm joined by Shadow, and today we are going to be talking about a lot of Christmas stuff, and one or two not Christmas stuff. Um, so, um, I'm going to start with a Christmas movie that I've watched, which is one that's just out this year. Um, I seen it on Sky as a Sky exclusive, which is a UK, I would guess, cable or satellite type thing. Um, and um, the movie is 8-Bit Christmas. Um, and I don't know whether you've ever seen it,
I
Shadow.
haven't seen it.
No.
I haven't seen it yet. No, not
Um,
yet.
I mean, just the fact that it's 8-bit is right up my alley anyway. I mean, if, even though like my first games console was like PlayStation 1, so I don't even know if bits was even um, a thing worth even mentioning back in PlayStation 1 era. But it was a really good Christmas movie. It starred Neil Patrick Harris, um, who you'll probably best know as um, oh, is it Count Orlok from the series of unfortunate events that
I
Netflix
think, yeah,
did. Yeah.
yeah, I think that. And I've seen him perform live a few times when I was in Disney World. And he's one of the special guest stars for the Candlelight Procession every year. So
Oh,
I've seen him
nice.
perform live doing
So,
that. So
so kind of in a way, you've kind of met him, sort of ish.
sort of, yeah.
Cool. Um, well, the general gist of the movie, it was like, um, it starts off in like modern times, and then it becomes a dad telling their daughter about the Christmas that they had back in the 80s. It's of course very vague as to which year in particular, um, but as it does have the Power Glove in it and Rob the Robot, I'm not sure whether they came out in the same year, but that kind of helps to pinpoint the year that it's supposed to be.
Sure,
Um,
yeah.
so it's 1980 something, and the whole plot of it is he's trying to get his mum and dad to get him a Nintendo um, for Christmas, and it kind of gets slapstick. It gets slapstick, much like Home Alone, in like just the more desperate he became to get one. Um, it was just crazy, and then it kind of went kind of downhill towards the end for me because that's when they have the like mushy um, thing that the whole plot has been building up to, and it's like you might not get what you want for Christmas, but you can still have a good time, kind of thing, which is kind of a really good message to have for kids, especially in the era that we're in now, where everybody wants the latest things. Um, you know, so that's really all I can say about 8-bit Christmas in terms of the plot. Um, but like I was saying, it's a Sky exclusive over here. But I was talking to one of my friends in America, and they said that it's on Netflix. So if you're in America, apparently you can watch it on there. But when I was looking up on Shadow, can you mute on your end? Um, when I was looking up just before going live, apparently it's HBO Max, not Netflix. So either my friends got mixed up, or it's available in more places than what we first thought. Um, yeah, so just check it out. It's a really fun movie, and can we move on to what you're wanting to talk about now?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So I I think I'm going to. I saw a Christmas movie as well, but I'll talk about that second. Um, After I talk about my first movie.
Okay.
So a movie that I went to see at the cinema, I actually saw it yesterday. Actually, was Clifford the Big Red Dog, and it's based on the TV series and also the Scholastic book of the same name.
I didn't know that it was a book. I knew of
Yeah,
of the show, but yeah,
it was a book first, then it got made into a TV series, and then obviously there's this live action movie that's just come out. And in the cinemas just now, and in the States, it's also streaming exclusively on Paramount Plus, which we are getting in the UK here. We're getting Paramount Plus next year, but just now in America, it's available either to watch in the movie theaters or on Paramount Plus.
is Paramount Plus gonna be its own thing, or is it gonna be lumped in with like Disney Plus, like what the Fox stuff is?
So Paramount Plus is going to have its own app, just like Peacock has,
Right.
or Netflix has, or as
Although,
Disney Plus has.
having said that, Peacock, that seems to be integrated fully into the Sky subscription as well. So
Yeah, it's come just now. I think it's like a soft release of Peacock we've got just now
right,
before they release the full app later next year. I think that's what I read.
right,
So we're getting like a taster of it before they actually
cool.
roll out the actual full app. So yeah,
Anyway,
so back
back
to the
to the
movie.
movie.
Um, I'll, the basic synopsis of Clifford the Big Red Dog is so when Emily, who's played by Derby Camp or Darby Camp, however you pronounce it, I think it's Derby Camp, who you may know as Kate in the Christmas Chronicles series franchise. If you don't know if you've watched it, have you watched it?
Yes, I have. That's the one with Kurt Russell as Santa, isn't it?
Yeah, and his wife is Mrs. Claus,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
coincidentally.
I have seen it. Goldie Hawn. Yeah,
Goldie Hawn, that's it, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
And so she plays the main character, and she meets a magical animal rescuer named Bridwell, who is played by John Cleese. And she discovers after she comes home from school that the red a red puppy that she saw at the rescue tent, it was in her rucksack, and she basically goes to sleep, um, wishing that both of them that he was big and strong, but never realizing that when she wakes up, she discovers that a giant 10 foot Labrador staring her in the face, which is
Okay,
funny.
I had no idea how the dog got so big from any of the um, adaptations. Um, so that's kind of cool that
So
it's
she
that.
goes, yeah, yeah. So she goes to sleep with it being like little bitty tiny little puppy to being a 10 foot puppy
Okay,
in
so
like overnight.
when it's the normal size one, is
Yeah,
he red then?
yeah, he's red. Yeah.
Okay,
So
why
basic,
is he red?
probably just a mutation of some kind. I don't. It's not explained why he's red. No one knows why he's red. If I can maybe talk about how it all came about. This is right at the very start, so it isn't really a spoiler.
Yeah, sure,
So
sure.
the movie starts with the mum of Clifford's mum, who's a street dog, street Labrador, um, running into a like sort of like abandoned um, warehouse, and um, she's got obviously loads of puppies, and Clifford is obviously playing about, and then suddenly um, the warehouse door opens and rescuers come, and they take Clifford's mum along with all the other um, puppies. But Clifford was hiding under straw at the time, and then when he pops his head up, they're all running away, all getting taken away. So he tries to run after them, but the door shuts just as he gets to the door, and obviously Clifford starts to cry. Obviously, it's not called Clifford at that point, but Clifford starts to cry. And funny thing was, Cody was watching the all of that unfold. And when Clifford starts to cry, Cody starts to cry in the movie theater as well. He was he was whining,
Bless.
yeah, because he was watching it for a bit. It was kind of sweet. Um, but anyway, so he gets discovered wandering about trying to act like a seagull. Bridwell discovers him, and then later on, like, and then the movie really starts, and you meet is it Kate? Did I say her name was? That's really bad.
It's Kate.
Kate in the Christmas card. Emily.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So that's when we start to first meet Emily, and then she finds Clifford. And anyway, so who gives her where was I? So in set obviously in New York, and she's single. Just lives with her mum, and her mum goes away in business and leaves her with her uncle Casey, who is played by Jack Whitehall, and they set out on an adventure. It takes a bite out of the Big Apple. The bad guys in the movie um, is a company called Life Grow, who basically try and uh, actually I'll go rewind a bit. So it's bad guys are Life Grow, and the main bad guy is Zach Tyron, who uh, oh, I've deleted who he's played by. My bad. Oh well. Anyway, so Zach Tyron, and they must protect Clifford from them because they're trying to steal him because they're trying to make a product which can grow things, and they think that um, Clifford is the key to that. So the whole movie is about them trying to protect Clifford, um, which and it's really really good, and it also has Keenan Thompson in it. It's not may know Keenan Thompson from Saturday Night Live, or older people might know him from Keenan and Kel.
Yeah, thanks for lumping the Keenan and Kel thing in there. I was just looking for the name of the other guy, but I couldn't find it either. Yes,
So so Keenan plays a minor role. He plays the vet in it.
being one of the older ones, thank you.
Yeah.
That's where I know him from. I must I admit I'm not a big fan of Keenan and Kel. So their comedy style wasn't really for me. And this movie, to be honest, it's not something I would choose to watch because it's intended for a much younger audience, and the show,
I,
like,
I, I think you see, for me, the movie is more grown up, so they've got
right,
lots of grown up humor.
right,
So it's not like the TV program.
right,
It's a to put in perspective, the TV show is a U or a E, suitable for everyone,
yeah,
and say this one's a PG-13 or a
okay.
PG, and
Well, the show kind of passed me by because I'm aware of it because it's a big red dog. How can you miss something like that, you know? Um,
yeah.
but I've never actually sat and watched an episode of the show. I didn't even know that it was a book until you said earlier on. Um,
I've never seen a TV show either. I've
right.
only ever seen the movie, and what I saw was really good. I think it's a bit like the Paw Patrol movie, which I saw a few weeks ago,
I have
whereas it's more mature than the actual TV show.
what I'm taking from what you've said about the movie is it's a big mashup of different comedians because you've got John Cleese, you've got um,
Jack Whitehall,
Jack Whitehall, and there was another comedian that you mentioned,
Keenan
which
Keenan Thompson.
that's the one. Um, and like that's quite a big range in terms of comedic styles that they would have to fit into one narrative. So it's down to the individual as to whether that works, and it sounds like it worked for you really well.
Yeah, because John Cleese you only see briefly, like in like the start of the movie and towards the end. Keenan Thompson you see a couple of times, but it's mainly Jack Whitehall you see.
Right. Okay. Cool. So, would it be fair to say that most of the humor is his typical stuff?
Yeah, most of the humor is Jack Whitehall. Like he is, he actually really good, and it's a bit strange because he has an American accent. But obviously, I got used to his American accent when I saw Jungle Cruise.
Yeah.
Um, but his uh, he's plays the role really well, and it's he kind of plays a similar role to what he did in Bad Education.
Okay.
So like
Believe
a
it or not,
goofy,
I've never actually watched that show. I've watched quite a lot of his stand-up stuff, though. So
yeah.
if it's anything like that, then yes, it gets a
I
thumbs up
would
for me.
recommend you. I would recommend that you watch it, even if it's just at once. I would recommend it to anyone.
Alright, cool. So, should we go on to my next thing because it's completely different, or should we go back to the Christmas stuff, or do you want to end on that?
No, we can go back on go into your next thing.
Right, okay. Um, well, my thing is um, Doctor Who, in particular, the classic series. Um, you may know that I'm slowly, excuse me, I am slowly collecting the original series on Blu-ray. There is 26 seasons of the original run, which they're kind of releasing them in a weird order, because like quite a lot of the really early ones they don't really exist anymore. So they're having to do like animated things with the original audio and um, just the amount of extras that they do per box set, plus the situation that we're living through, has slowed down the whole putting out of the whole classic run of the show. But what there is out is fantastic. I've watched from Tom Baker's first series, which is series 12, or as it's been sold in region A, which is like America or Canada, it's Tom Baker season 1. So each Doctor is like season 1 of that Doctor kind of thing, which is so dumb. Where over here we get the actual numbering, which is so much easier. Um, of course, it reset for the new Who, because we're on what, season 13 now? The Flux?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. Um, so, um, the Flux I thought was really good, just to throw in some new Who there, and I can't wait for the New Year's Day special, just to kind of see how it all pans out. But yeah, I've watched from Tom Baker's first story, which was Robot, right the way through to the last episode, which was Sylvester McCoy in the role, and it was Survival. And it's a interesting story because it didn't feel like it was going to be the last of the classic run when I was watching it, because they didn't know that they weren't going to do any more, according to what they were saying in the extras. So Sylvester McCoy had actually signed on to do the next series, which would have been series 27, which never happened, unfortunately. The BBC were trying to get rid of it for years, which is partially why Colin Baker's run was so short. There's actually only 2 seasons of his, I think, because his third series, it was when the show was on hiatus, and they reluctantly brought it back, but part of the condition was the Doctor had to be changed, which is so dumb. But having said that, I thought Sylvester McCoy did a fantastic job, and he's always been, like, when you think of him, he's like the comedic Doctor, and he kind of is to begin with in like the first 2 stories, but then it gets kind of really dark.
I would say that David Tennant was also a comedic sort of Doctor as well. Would you agree with that?
Say that again, sorry?
I was saying David Tennant, would say he's quite a comedic Doctor as well.
Yeah, I'd say David Tennant is very much inspired by the last 3 of the classic run. I mean, he's married to the daughter of Doctor Number 5, so that's Peter Davison, which is always really fun to hear about.
What I was going to say though, also a bit correction is there's been 39 seasons of Doctor Who.
Is this including New Who?
Is including the new ones.
Right.
So the new ones, there's been 13 seasons of the new one.
Yeah.
But if you include all the old ones, it's 39.
Right. Because the original run was series 1 to 26, There was a TV movie. Um, there was an animated um, thing which was originally going to be how the show was going to continue with oh, I've forgotten his name. It's the Nth Doctor. If you do a quick search for him, um,
Which one?
the Nth Doctor.
Okay, I'll have a look.
I can see his face, but I just can't think of what his name is.
Uh, the 10th Doctor was David Tennant.
No, the Nth Doctor. N.
How you spell it?
I'll I'll have a look, see if I can find him, because this is really frustrating me. The Nth Doctor. Sorry about this. This is so frustrating.
Oh, only when I type in nth, I get 10th.
Right. Doesn't it,
Oh,
it
Dreamland.
the
That's 2009.
the Nth Doctor? Let's see if this brings up. Um, there's some audio um of the Nth Doctor as well, apparently. Um, but I can't find the actor's name, which is really frustrating. Richard E. Grant. Oh my god, I'm such an idiot. Richard E. Grant played the Nth Doctor, which was an animated special, which was going to be the original continuation of the show from um, when it ended. Having said that, I've not actually watched that special, um, but it was like in the wilderness years. Um, I think it might have been before the movie as well, because obviously with the 50th anniversary, we seen the 8th Doctor, which was Paul McGann, which unfortunately only got the movie as his on-screen thing. All of his other stuff is in Big Finish audio, um, which in my eyes, every one of his is canon. Even Sharda, which kind of messes with the timeline a bit, but I mean that's what Doctor Who's all about. How many times have they messed with their own timeline?
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
um, yeah, just I would highly recommend watching some of the classic ones. Um, Obviously the special effects will be way like worse than what we're used to, but the plot is really there. Like especially with um, Destiny, no, sorry, not Destiny, Genesis of the Daleks, which is a Tom Baker story. I would say start with that one. Um, that's a
Yeah,
that's a really good one. But like you can dip in and out of each story really well, but it's kind of weird watching it in the old format because um, one story would be a few episodes, so it could take up to a full month to get one storyline. Whereas with the new Who, it's like each episode is its own self-contained story, which is completely different to how they did it back then. So the pacing is very different as well. Um, but that didn't really bother me all that much. Having said that, I haven't watched much of like the original Doctor or the second, and that's by and large because they're having to piece so many of those together with animated stuff. The only one of Tom Baker's run where they had to do that was Sharda, and that's because it was never actually finished because there was a strike. Um, but they completed it years later, mixing in the animated stuff and getting the surviving cast back in to play those roles again. So when you're watching Sharda, um, it's very weird um, having it going from live action to the animated back to, you know, or you can watch it where it cuts to Tom Baker giving bridging narration, which was the first way that I seen it. I kind of prefer that one actually, just because it was the first one that I seen. Um, but yeah, definitely worth checking out some classic ones. Um, and with that, should we get into your last one for the Christmas stuff?
Absolutely, yeah. So uh, I just get back. Where are we? Uh, where are we go? So, um, saw last night. I watched um, the movie Home Sweet Home Alone, which is on Disney Plus. And so this movie is the reboot of the Home Alone franchise. And I would, in my mind, I would say it's the first proper reboot to the original two compared to the awful ones from Home Alone 3, 4, and Holiday Heist.
Well, 3 wasn't a reboot because it. Well, no, sorry. 3 was a reboot because it didn't have any of the original actors or characters. It was all new. 4 was kind of a soft reboot because it was the original characters played by new actors, which didn't work. And then the other two I haven't seen because I've heard that they're really, really bad. Was this one
Home Sweet Home Alone was absolutely fantastic. I thought it was a masterpiece. Um,
awesome?
and I kind of thought this, it's the, to me, it's the third best Home Alone movie ever made.
Okay,
Uh,
give me your Home Alone rankings from best to worst.
so for me, it would be Home Alone 1, then 2, then Home Sweet Home Alone. But actually, yeah, that'd
And
be my top three.
and then you don't even rank the other ones because they're that bad.
Yeah,
Fair
yeah.
enough. Okay, cool.
So uh, the movie itself, Home Sweet Home Alone, pays homage to the original and is set in the same universe as the original first two, as it also stars Devin Ratray, who reprises his role as Buzz McAllister, who is now a cop. And the main kid in the movie, Max, is played by Archie Yates, who you may know from Jojo Rabbit. Um, and I think the movie is kind of different to the main Home Alone like franchise series, in such that the bad guys aren't really bad guys in a way.
Right.
Um,
Can I just cut in there because I haven't seen this, but I did watch somebody's review, and that was one of their main um, points as to why they didn't like it, because the villains, you actually like root for them, and their big complaint was that it just didn't work for them. But what else could they do? Like, you
Yeah,
want something to be different from the original, but play homage to it, and it sounds like that's what they did with this one. And
yeah, and so much so they played homage to it by there's a bit in the movie where the Home Alone, the Home Alone choir song, not the Home Alone choir song, not the one in this church, but the main theme tune. How
right.
there's the tune, but there's also the sung version of the main theme tune.
Mhm.
So they had both of those in one of the themes, and then later on, another homage they played to the original was that they went to see the bad guys, I'll put in quotations, with their family went to see a choir sing, and it was they sung "Oh Holy Night," like in the Home Alone one.
So
Uh,
it really is putting a lot in there for the fans of the original, which
yeah,
sounds awesome.
and also um, the uh, the cop obviously is Buzz McAllister, and he actually there's a scene in it where he actually mentions um, Kevin, because there was a call put in saying that there was a kid who's been left home alone at Christmas, and then the cop saying, "You can ignore it. It's my brother Kevin. When we were younger, we accidentally left him home alone twice, and every year since I become a cop, basically says that he puts in a prank, calls a call every year saying there's a kid being left home alone. You can ignore it. It's fine." But actually, it really is true because it was
Okay,
Max's mom.
apart from Buzz coming back, is there any other of the original cast?
Not that I could see, no.
Right. Okay.
But the movie though is a fantastic story, and it's it's an all round good feel good movie. It leaves you feeling happy watching it,
Which is what you
and
want.
it's just what yeah exactly. It's makes you feel nice and Christmassy as well, and it's um I was like a bit apprehensive to watch it because like I was thinking oh it's going to be another one of those movies like Home Alone 3, 4, and Holiday Heist. But no, it's actually sort of like I would say it's a continuation from Home Alone 2.
To be honest with you, I don't think 3 was all that bad. I mean, yes, it was not actually a Home Alone because it wasn't the original cast, and he technically wasn't left home alone. Um, but the villains in that one, very much like this one, they tried something different, and people didn't like what they did with the third one in terms of the villains. So, what else could they do apart from make them to where you like them, kind of? But yeah,
Yeah, and the villains in this movie aren't technically villains as such. Well, they are. They are like they did something wrong by breaking into the house, but they I wouldn't call them like hardened criminals like in the first two.
right, okay. So there's no Joe Pesci swearing his head off. Got it.
Yeah, but he does. But Max does a similar thing, like with the booby traps.
Okay, um, if it's what I think it is, from what I've seen of the clips in this review, um, Max is at a table with M&Ms all around him, and he just kind of sticks his head in them all. You might not have picked up on what that is a reference to, because I very much doubt that you will have seen it. But it's a reference to Scarface, the Al Pacino version, where he does that, but it's cocaine instead. So
All right, okay.
yeah, that will have gone completely over your head. Um,
Yeah,
but
absolutely. Yeah,
and I've only seen that in a review, and the review was leaning towards it being not a very good film. But I really want to see it because if they were daring enough to put a reference to Scarface in what is essentially a very kid-friendly film, um,
yeah.
like they're obviously trying to take risks here, so that makes me want to see it. It really
I
does.
hi- well, I highly recommend you do see it, and maybe if you see it um, this week or next week, rather, we can talk about it in next week's. Well, actually, next week's we may have to. I may not be in the next week's one because it's actually my birthday.
Oh
So,
yeah, we will not be doing it then. I am not gonna be taking you away from like doing
and
that.
then the following is Christmas, and the following week is New Year's. So we may have to talk about it in January.
That's fine by me. So our next one um, might be few and far between. So I mean, to be honest with you, I'm kind of all talked out about all the things that I had planned. So is there anything
Yeah,
completely off the cuff that you want to talk about, or we could end this early? I really
yeah, we
don't
could end
mind.
it. There's nothing really I've like maybe said. Oh, I would say only that uh, the the just that if you're not seeing Home Alone, just go and see Home Alone. Just go see it. That's what I was going to say.
I absolutely will. I just haven't got around to um, getting Disney Plus yet. I did have it for the first year, uh, but I didn't really use it all that much, so I cancelled it. Um, so now that they have way more stuff, I think I will give it a second shot.
I would also recommend you see a seat if you like more adulty type content. I would recommend you watch Big Sky. I think it's called. It's
Okay.
completely. It's a Big Sky. Just Big Sky. Yeah, it's Big Sky. It's not the sort of thing you'd expect on Disney. You'd see a Disney Plus, but it's part of their Star platform,
Yeah.
which I think Star's actually getting renamed to Hulu because of the uh, problems we have with Star and Star's Play. So I think they're
Okay.
renaming it,
Fair
and
enough.
we're finally getting Hulu because obviously just now it's just USA only, so we might be getting it soon. I've read.
Just what we need. One more subscription service.
Yeah,
There's so many. Well, um, we shall end it here, and I will see you guys whenever we end up doing this again. Um, Everything's up in the air because of the time of year that it is. Of course, me and you will be talking throughout that whole time anyway. But yeah, we will be doing this again. Lord only knows. So we will see you whenever that is, and
and
see you later.
and we hope you had a nice time. And remember, we hope you had a really good time.
Oh God.